episode of High Voltage. I'm your host. I am best-selling international author MacKenzie Nelson, and this is my 41st episode. By request today, thanks to some feedback I received from a friend, I decided to go ahead and follow up on her advice, and this show is specifically catered to parents of sporty children. I myself have a lot of skin in the game, so to speak, on this topic, and I share about it more in depth in my book, My Father's Feathers, A Journey of Transformation and Healing, One Feather at a Time. If you haven't read the book, then you don't know that I was an all-state basketball player back in high school. I played volleyball as well, track, I all-state in high jump, and all sorts of other sporty things. So I spent the duration of my life growing up involved in sports every day. If I wasn't doing something sporty, it was a weird day for me. So I love sports. I think there are so many aspects of being in sports, particularly group sports like basketball, like volleyball, and it teaches you lessons even bigger than, winning and losing. It teaches you how to work as a team with your peers, how to take losses and carry on and persevere. And I believe because I have this background, it has led me to this place in life where I'm not easily discouraged. I'm not easily deterred. And sports was really the place where I learned, how to take some hits. As a post player, I'm 6'1". So I spent a lot of time, getting elbowed in the back, in the face. I had ankle problems to overcome. I played game after game on twisted ankles. They still, to this day, give me some trouble. But it was well worth it because I really, really fell in love with the sport of basketball, although my relation to it was complicated due to how I felt my parents spoke into my life in that degree. I felt my dad was really focused on, and my mom, on rebounds and points I made during the game, where I was always looking like, hey, the point guard, look what she did, man. She had, 30 some points, and whoa, what a great game. Like, it wasn't my best game, but I could cheer someone else on and see like, way to go. But that is part of my skill set. I am an encourager, and I look past my own accomplishments and I'm able to be happy for someone else. And I think that is a huge part when it comes to guiding your athlete in the realm of group athletics. You've got to be able to see past your child's contribution on the court, on the field, whichever sport we're talking about, and be able to guide them into showing them how to be happy for other teammates. Maybe your son, your daughter didn't play the best game, but another kid was shining and they pulled the team through that game. That is just as great, right? Even if it's not your kid, we need to have more in my opinion, of a mindset that this is a group sport. And I know we're each partial to our own child succeeding and doing well out there. We all want that. That's what I want too as a mom. I want that to be my kid, if I'm being honest. But the most joy and fulfillment I got out of group sports was seeing, even if I didn't shine in a particular game, that someone else picked up the slack and we still won. Or maybe I didn't shine and nobody shone, and the lesson to learn was, hey, maybe we got to work on our communication as players. But a lot of what happened in the backdrop of me coming home was like, well, you messed this up, or you did this wrong, but I think it was coming from the heart of my parents just wanting me to be more successful, not thinking necessarily that they were being derogatory. They just want to see me succeed so bad that they're losing perspective on the advice they're giving me isn't uplifting, and it's actually deterring me and putting more pressure on me to perform at a higher level, because if not, I'm going to be sat down and lectured when I get home. So my best advice to you, if you have a sporty kid, is that you are teaching life lessons and pulling that information out. If they feel frustrated when they get home and they're not happy with their performance, how can we speak into that in a positive manner and redirect them toward like, hey, we want to keep in mind this is a group sport that other people are contributing. We want, if there's a skill set that you want to get better at, there's a camp you might be able to sign up for so we can work on that. Get out in the, driveway, shoot some hoops, shoot so many if you're upset at your shot that you just get it down to where it is money, money, money. Every time, put the work in. That's what it takes if you really want to be a great athlete. But your child has got to exhibit that drive. You cannot force that on a child. They either really want to excel at this sport and they want to get good and they have the passion, or if they're not feeling it, it's going to become a very detrimental journey for that child and for you as a parent, and it's going to erode your relationship as you continue on. So in 8th grade, my backstory, if you haven't read the book, my parents, I was shining on the court at basketball, and they decided there was a coach about 20 minutes away. That's where they wanted me to play high school basketball. The only problem was I wasn't involved in that conversation whatsoever, and they did not quite understand how much the relationships that I had acquired with my peers and other teammates at that point meant to me. They meant the world to me. We had been playing since 3rd grade. I got to know these girls. Their families were wonderful. One of the dads had a daughter on my team, and he, really took me in, and he treated me, as his own, and he meant the world to me. And when they pulled me from that support system, I was at a school that was now competing against my old teammates. So I had to go back to basketball games, and they would literally hold signs up and boo me when I came out on the court at the other team. But I had no say in it. I just had to go with what my parents had decided was best for me, and I had to relearn so many different things, make new friends, a new town, a new home, all because I was gifted at a sport. And so it felt more like a punishment at that point to me. And I really struggled with my association on the court in high school. Although I was successful. I was all state. I just think, how much more could I have done had I been a part of the conversation? So I would encourage you, if you are just making decisions based on other coaches' advice and you are not bringing your child into those conversations, there could be aspects your child could illuminate that you maybe had not considered about, the whole big picture of the decisions you're making. So as you are, going through this sports journey, which is a really full, amazing journey, I think, for parents and children to be on, always check in with your child, ask them, because sometimes even me, I didn't feel comfortable expressing to my parents how upset these conversations made me. I did not feel that my feelings or opinions were being valued. And so I honestly, a lot of times I just shut down and I would just sit there and I would take it. But inside I felt destroyed. I was really struggling mentally and emotionally with the amount of pressure that was placed onto my shoulders in terms of the sports world, which should have been I was good. Should have been really fun, but for me it was heavy and I didn't feel like I had much of a say in my own sports journey. So the best advice I have for you is to sit down with your child on a weekly basis at least and reassess, hey, how are you feeling? Are there things that you see that you're excelling on that make you feel good about your sport? Are there things you see you want to work on that you don't feel so good in this area? Are you feeling good about this sport in general? Or maybe we could look at, there's so many different options now for sports. Maybe your child is more geared towards individual sports like tennis or golf. We have so many options. And just because you played a sport, like I played basketball, that does not mean for me that my son and my daughter have to be participatory in basketball. And so my daughter, for example, I never took dance. I was never in gymnastics. She's in dance, gymnastics. She loves basketball, t-ball. She is just loving getting out there and experimenting with all these sports, and I'm loving it, and I'm just here as a support, asking her, where are you feeling excited? What gets you really excited about doing a particular sport? What aspects are you liking? Are you liking working with a team? Or are you more annoyed by that and you don't want to have to get along with other people to do a sport? You don't like that if they drop the ball, the whole team is compromised, then maybe you might want to lead your child to more of an individual sport where they feel they have more control over the aspect of the game. There's so many different options out there for athletes, for kids. And my other best advice would be not to limit yourself in that regard. Like I said, don't take what you did and think because you were successful at it that your kid will be, or worse, don't think because you failed miserably at a sport that you are going to relive your dreams through your child. Cringe. Cringe. We all know those parents too. I mean, I recognize them, and I think you do too at a game. They're the ones like yelling at the ref. They're the ones that are just, really rough on their kids and saying inappropriate things, cutting them down right in front of you. This is going to have enormous impacts on your child's mental well-being as well as their confidence, not just in the arena of sports, but in other areas it will carry over as well. So always make sure that you are uplifting your child, that you are encouraging them. And I am not perfect at this. I am a competitive person as well. And so these are things I strive to do. But you might catch me on a day where I'm like, oh, you could have nailed that jump shot, buddy. And I'm like, whoa, pull it back, pull it back. So it's important to keep yourself in check. And if you get a little too intense, or, you say something that you're like, ooh, wasn't my best look, that you tell your kid, hey, guess what? I'm sorry, I was really hard on you, or I got a little too excited about it. I got a little too wrapped up in the game. And I shouldn't have said that to you. It was hurtful. And I'm very sorry for that. And taking accountability with your child will always go a really long way. Check your motives. Why are you getting your child involved in a certain sport? Or how are they feeling? That is the biggest key indicator. Are they enjoying themselves out there on the field? Are they loving what they're doing? Or are they just doing it because you keep pushing them out there thinking, sometime you're gonna love this? It's a hard line to walk sometimes. I mean, my son is going into 6th grade and he played baseball for a long time. And recently he's really terrified he's gonna get hit by a ball. And he is letting that stop him from moving forward, for example, with baseball. So I'm finding myself in unfamiliar territory. That was never a concern. I was always just someone just throwing myself out there. We're gonna win, that was always my mentality. I never stopped long enough to think I might get injured or whatever, but he is not me. He is my son. He's a completely different individual with different concerns. And so just because that wasn't my concern when I played, I want to honor his concerns, and I want to make him feel, that how he feels is valid, and say, I hear this, and let's keep working through that. Let's keep the conversation going. Let's talk about this. Let's not just take baseball off the table completely because of fear, but let's keep thinking about it and talking about it. And he's still young enough that if he wants to pop back into the sport, see how he feels about it, he still can. But it's really hard for me personally to align myself with a reason to pull out of any kind of a sport or activity because of fear. If you watch my show, I'm a huge proponent of you gotta fight through it. You gotta walk through that fear. However, there's other sports he could play. So he's thinking now he might just want to go out for cross country, and we are fully supporting that journey. So again, every child is different. Every parent is different. Just make sure that you're checking in and that you're being cognizant of your child's feelings and you aren't being forceful in that regard. Thank you so much for tuning in today. I hope this show has helped you feel you can be a healthier sport parent with your child. And again, just reach out if you have any questions, concerns. If I can be of assistance to you in any way, I am here and ready and willing to help you on your journey any way you see fit. Have a great weekend, guys.